Hey boys and girls, it's Vince on Backyard Mangoes, and I'm hiding behind this little seedling that is going to get grafted today. So, what you'll notice, and I'm gonna move the camera here briefly, is I tried to graft a Southern Blush on there. This Southern Blush graft did not take. I've been taking apart my grafts. I got a video coming on that. Why did it fail? So I have a few ideas why it failed. Feel free to watch that video. I'll get it posted. But right now, we are gonna go ahead and graft this guy out. And right here is about where I've decided I want to graft it. Right or wrong, that's where the graft is gonna be. And I'm gonna put a Mahachanok on there. And the reason why a Maha is it's my last mango that I have yet to tree trim. So it's got a bunch of scions. So cut that off. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this leaf that's growing. Oddly enough, I have never seen that. Literally, this leaf is growing upside down. Holy, never seen that. So here are all the leaves, but this leaf, when I pull it backwards, it's upside down. But I'm gonna pull that leaf off. I don't know if that's good luck or bad luck now. Now, what I am going to do is I'm gonna go over to the Maha tree and I'm gonna try to get a scion of similar size. And I'm gonna use my official ruler called a Sharpie. And the diameter of this scion is very, very close to the diameter of my Sharpie. So I'm gonna go get a scion. I'll be right back. So I'm back with the scion that I have chosen. And let's see how close I am. It's definitely a little smaller in diameter, but it's okay. It's not, I'll be honest, this was my second scion. The first one was way off, even though I just didn't measure it up. The reason I like the scion is there's some growth going on here, some buds that are coming out, and I'm gonna trim these leaves off. And the way you trim this, let me move this out of the way. The way you trim it is you just get your clippers, get in there nice and close, and kind of try not to wreck the buds. And I'm hoping this camera here, the ancient iPhone, picks up all this. All right, so my leaves are all clipped off, and I'm not sure if it picks it up very well, but right on top of this leaf, there was a swelling bud right there. On top of this one, another swelling bud, and on top of this one, right there, another swelling bud. Also a couple around the top. So we're gonna try this one. And the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in here with my knife. I just use a razor blade. I find it's nice and easy that way. And I'm gonna come in there and kind of carefully guide it down. I like about 1.5 inches, somewhere there. So I'm gonna do that 1.5 inches. I'm not sure that camera picks that up, but there's about 1.5 inches down. Now, here I go. This is the one I always have a little harder time. So I'm gonna create a wedge, a little V-shaped wedge in here. Ideally, you just do it in a couple of cuts, but I am not that good. And ideally, that V-shaped wedge is very straight, which, let me tell you, it takes some practice and some skill. And let me tell you about grafting. People have studied, I don't know, the moon phases certain waxing and waning moon. When is it a good time to graft? I saw somebody on this one talk about scraping it. I don't know. And the idea is that by roughing it up, I don't know. By roughing it up, it's going to allow a better, say, connection once you get it into this graft here. So yeah, I believe you can see that. All right. And what I'm gonna do is just slide this into this cut. I'll slide it down. And then I'm gonna look at it from the left, from the right, from the top, from the down. And the key is to clean your glasses so you can see. To make sure you have it very lined up, and don't try to line it up in the middle. If you're lining it up in the middle, you're gonna miss that cambium layer, because you have to match up one cambium to the other cambium. So the best thing to do is line it up all on one side, so it's very safe, flush and even on one side, and let the other side go. And that looks pretty good to me. So this side is extremely flush there and even, but if you look at the other side, it's not. And the other thing that I like about this right here that I'm noticing is, as I look through that those cuts, what I notice is I don't see a lot of daylight coming through. What does that mean? That means that it's a pretty tight connection. I have a little daylight because I'm not perfect, but not a lot of daylight. And now what I'm going to do is I take my fancy buddy tape. With the buddy tape, I tear off a bit of it. And I never seem to tear off the right amount, so you tear it off. You start at the bottom, below the graft. You know, here I'm going about as low as I can go because of those leaves. And then I'm pulling on this buddy tape gently to overlap. Think of it like shingles on a roof. You want them to overlap. The purpose of that overlapping is so water sheds down the outside of the tape and does not get into the graft. This buddy tape takes a little bit of getting used to. I can't tell you how many times I broke it first few times using it. Just pull on it too tight, and you know, just getting used to it, the way it feels. How much can you pull this before it gives? Don't do that. There you go. And I'm going to go all the way up to the top. And the reason why you go all the way up to the top is, one, for the water, and two, as this scion is transpiring a little bit, you want to keep the moisture into it, or excuse me, you don't want it to get dried out. Really, that's a better way to say it. You don't want the scion to dry out. So it's tricky because you don't want too much moisture in it, because watching my videos, you'll see moisture is the reason some of my grafts are failing. So I need to work on that. And this is pretty much done. Now I do like to do an extra step, because I like to make sure I have a really good seal here between that scion and the receiving rootstock. And the way I do that is I use these very expensive inner tube tires that I cut up from old flat tires. And all I'm going to do is just put a little pressure, just some little added pressure. It's all it is. I just want to make sure it seals. And I like these because I can reuse them. that back. Just let it overlap. All right, and the last thing I'd like to do is, I have these fancy cellophane wrappers like from an ice pop, but I think we get them at the Asian market. I think I've seen them on Amazon. And what I do is use a fancy Sharpie and I mark this. What do I mark it? I'm gonna name it. It's a Mahachanok, and today is 8/3. And then try to open this bag. And once I do, I'm gonna just set this on top. Just slide this bag over it. And the reason I'm gonna slide the bag over it is it's just a little extra protection for water intrusion. If it's raining and I have a little gap or crack in there, the goal is to allow that water to not get in there. And the condensation or transpiration here of the plant and the leaves can also evaporate. One of my grafts have been failing because I've had too much water moisture in there. Now, the other reason some of my grafts failed was this intense heat with the bag. I think it didn't let air escape and it cooked. So we're gonna put this graft in a new spot here in the yard that I've identified. So let's take a walk. So a lot of my trees were right here under this Graham tree, but Graham got a haircut at the end of the season. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it over here. I've already got 2 trees over here and pots. And the reason I'm picked over here is facing this way is east. So this moringa tree is gonna give this a lot of shade in the morning. And then I have over this direction would be the west. I have the Eureka palm shading it in the heat of the day and in the afternoon, while still giving good light here in this location. So hopefully you learned something. Hopefully I learned something. Thanks for watching. This is I'm Vince. It's Backyard Mangoes. Like, subscribe. Thank you.